Alright, here's a TD124 that we just sort of brought back to life. I've always wanted to do a video on the 124. It's a great table. When it's really sounding good, it's an incredible table with the right combination. And this table has an Empire arm on it, and it seems to have a real nice synergy with it. And I ended up putting up, just to test it out, I put on an old Stanton vintage cartridge. I believe it's a Stanton 500, I'm not sure. It just sounds incredible. We've had several of these tables with variety of arms and like Thorens arm, and we had one with a SME arm, but this one, believe it or not, sounds real good. We'll talk more about the arm later, but you might know me as like the rubber band guy, but we always, I like to use rubber bands to repair cassette decks and things like that. But I also used a rubber band in this. I know, forgive me, those of you who, frown upon use of the rubber band, but we just wanted to see if it worked, and we'll talk about that later. Here's a couple before and after pictures to get you an idea of where we started and where we ended up. Okay, let's take a look at this 124 from underneath. There's a lot of stuff that needed to be cleaned, so basically all I really had to do was clean everything. I didn't use a lot of lube to get some of the worn parts moving, because nothing was really an issue. So I pretty much left it alone. I figured laissez-faire is the best thing to do, just leave it alone. Some of these tone arm wires had to be a little bit cleaned up, and made sure that some of the soldering joints were a little bit better. And that's pretty much it. Now, as far as the tone arm is concerned, let's take a look at the top now. The tone arm, I repainted the head shell because it just looked horrible, and the tube, as you can see, is still very pitted, but I left it because I wanted to see what the turntable really sounded like. If it even worked, for that matter, before I went ahead and did a lot of the other restoration work. But I left it alone. It looked like it might have been a little bit bent right here. I don't know if we can see that a little bit better. Maybe not. But one of the things that I wanted to do was just try out the turntable to see if it works. So I put this dent on. Actually, I'm sorry, it's a Stanton cartridge. I think it's a 500. And also, the belt was worn out, so all I did was put in a little rubber band here just to see if the thing would work. And I left it in because it worked fine. And I think, yes, I changed this out too. I put a new one in. It was a little bit worn, and I had one lying around, so I tried it out, and it was a little bit better. Didn't do much cleaning here, but we just sort of figured we'll leave it the way it is for now, just to see if it works. And as you'll see later, we'll put it all together, and it sounds really very spectacular. And over here, this is the plinth. This is the wood base. We put some veneer on it. I haven't stained it yet. I don't know if I'm going to. Again, I wanted to see just how everything was going to work out first, and we painted this top piece. And that's pretty much all we had to do with this. Yeah, we did take the motor apart. From the bottom, we took off these three C-clips here, and the motor falls right out of the bottom. And we took the motor apart. There's 4 screws, I believe. Let's take a look at it again. Yeah, there's these 4 screws right here, and the one on the bottom here. And we took this plate off, and we're able to make sure that the motor was nice and lubricated. We cleaned it very carefully and put it back together, and that seemed to do the trick. So again, we didn't want to do too much rebuild if it really didn't need it, and it really didn't need it. And one of the other things was, I believe, this little magnet here, which really controls your speed. We just adjusted that to make sure the speed was right. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this later, but the strobe here is dead on. We'll show you that later when we do the demo. Okay, so let's put it all together. Alright, so here it is all together. We just put everything together, and like I said, we had to clean this thing very carefully, and we lubed the bearing a little bit. And again, this is the original plinth as we got it, and everything is pretty much the same here. We thought the arm was bent a little bit, but when we played it, you know what? I'm not gonna mess with it because it sounded so darn good. This is an Empire 98 arm. And the head shell looked pretty weird. I just figured I'd throw a coat of paint on it just to make it look a little bit better, because that part really looked bad, as you can see from some of the pictures. So again, we're going to look at the tone arm from over here. I don't know, it does look a little bit bent to me, but again, like, we started playing this table and I just couldn't believe how good it sounded. So you know what? Even with a bent arm, maybe that's why it's sounding so darn good. I don't know. And again, we have a rubber band, you know, instead of a regular Thorens belt, just to test it out, to see how it works out. So now we're going to go play it a little bit. Again, this is pretty much a pretty good restoration here, I think. I think it looks pretty good, and you'll hear the way it sounds, too. So there it is, the Thorens TD124, nice and fresh again, just like it was back in the 60s or whenever it was originally made. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe and click on my other videos, and check out what else we've managed to post here on YouTube. And also, you know, don't forget to leave your comments, and which we love to hear, especially about the cassette rubber bands, which people really like to comment on. Okay, see you next time.